Hello, world. Hello, world. Patricia O'Connor and Frida. I know what was the hell was that? Patricia O'Connor and Frida Reba Darcy here, and it is Saturday Night Live Bonsai, and I have on the show tonight our Trident Maple. What I want to do is have a little reveal and see what's going on underneath there, and I'm just surrounded by hopefully enough stuff to pull this off. What I have is on hand for this job. What we're going to do is a reveal. This, what we're looking at, is where we put a plastic bag uh, around some shrink wrap, and we put shrink wrap around a lot of peat moss, where we cut some bark away and expose the cambium layer and all that stuff. And then probably, I think I probably doped it up with some rooting hormone, and then I didn't put the black covering on it for a couple of months. So I probably that wasn't the brightest. But what we're going to do tonight is I'm going to take the strings off, and we're going to pull back the shrink wrap and have a look and see what's going on inside. We're going to see if it's too dry, too wet, if it's rooting, if it's not rooting. If it's not rooting, it's more than likely calloused over quite a bit. So what we would do then is I have one of my crafting knives standing by open, so I won't have to sit there and try to paw at it with oily fingers. Um, and yeah, we'll clean that back, and then put more moss in, then take whatever we saw from here, possibly learn from that, and then go back over it. And that's kind of what tonight's show's going to be. I have no idea what's going on in there, whether or not there's a lot of roots, no roots, some roots, who knows. uh, that'll be us in a little while. We should have, now what I have around here is a lot of cutters and pruners. Thought about I thought about dragging out my my Makita router. That would make it really kind of quick and easy to go back through and redress everything. I thought against it because, one, I didn't think of that until late. So unless it's just hanging out charts, and I doubt it is. Yeah, I doubt it is. Then I doubt it would be rough and rearing to go, and also that could cause some other issues that I'm not quite ready to deal with. I think, as far as working in close quarters with that. And with that, let's just go ahead and get started and see what's going on tonight. It is a beautiful weather today on in Alameda. We had a really nice day here. I did a video on the balcony where we went through and did what we do. That video is spooled up, ready to drop. I'll drop it after this. Um, yeah. So that that's got us that's got us a little bit. What you can see there is a big, huge, shiny reflection of a lot of shrink wrap, and frankly, that's kind of what I'm looking at too. It's it's pretty opaque, which is to say that it's started off clear, but I can't exactly see through that. And then up here at the top, I have I had wrapped it in rubber tape, which was probably a pretty good idea. And then underneath that, I have wire, which, depending on how zealous I was about wiring it, no, that might I can get out of this easy enough. I was going to say I may cut this. All right, and also, highly, also I want to be fairly careful with all this stuff going in. I have a guy wire. Drop that out of our way. Okay. We're just going to hoping for a bunch of roots. Yeah, me too. Uh, but whatever we get, here's the thing that I'm banking on. Um, I made a couple of mistakes. It was my first time. I made a couple of mistakes going in. Uh, I should have checked it sooner than what I did, and I should have put the black wrap or the black plastic over this clear stuff. The idea was a good idea about using the shrink wrap was I would be able to see roots when they started, but that should have also meant that they should have been underneath plastic that wouldn't let light through, and of course this would, which goes against stuff. I don't know if this is damp or dry or what. It's still very dry, very very dry. I would say probably. Oh, I see roots. I think I see roots, but it's also too dry. See, that's something else. Uh, I may have I may have had roots going, and and then they dried out all this stuff. So that's another thing that can happen. I think I'm going to cut part of this away and keep going that way. But I don't want to keep dealing with an ever big ball of stuff. I see all this fine stuff here. I don't know. That could be roots. That could be anything, I suppose. Hey, Adam. Uh-oh. Oh, oh yeah. Okay. All right. We have roots. We have white roots, and I don't see a ton of roots, but can those are those reading? Can you see the white roots here? And I see them all around, and I see a little bit of moisture here, but this looks like, to me, it looks like uh, it's a bit dry. So, what I had said earlier, and I'm not sure that I'm opposed to this, was I wasn't going to do a whole lot to this until I saw a lot of roots. Until I saw a lot of roots. Then at that point, uh, it will seem to me to be less fragile. I'm not too crazy about breaking down this lump. Hi, Buffalo. I'm not too crazy. I see roots. I see some good looking little roots there. I see some of them that are fine, and I see some of them that are bigger. I think what I would feel comfortable with doing is maybe pack a little bit more. No, that all looks good to me. I think I'm going to put the plastic back up, and I'm going to give that a good hosing with with my spray bottle, which I believe I have here, hopefully standing by, and then where's my spray bottle? I have a spray bottle stand. Yeah, there it is. I'll give it a good hosing, and then we're just going to cover this back up. But I'm really encouraged by what I see. What my thinking is that when we looked earlier, and we did have a little peek earlier, and I looked about that good. I mean, I got about this far in, and just kind of did a peek down in the top. And I didn't see a whole lot, but it had been a pretty mild. It had been a pretty mild spring. Yeah, that's good. It had been a pretty mild spring by that point, and since then we have had that bazillion degree October, and before we got that bazillion degree October, I had enough sense to figure out that I was supposed to, at the end of the day, um, wrap this in black plastic so that the light didn't come in and kill the roots that we were trying to grow. So that's really actually very more encouraging. I thought that I was going to have to. I thought I was going to be peeling that off and redressing that, and we're not. We're going to let go everything that's going there and let it do what it's doing. And I'm going to. I started to spray that in place right there where you just saw me do, and then I thought, well, at some point you may start blasting this stuff off. So let's get this plastic bag. So here's what happened, and we got in at a good time. It started rooting, and probably that heat spell that was taking out pines was telling this thing to go, baby, go. So it started making some roots, uh, or started making them faster, perhaps. And then at that point, my moss began to dry out. It wasn't completely dry. There was a spot in the center that was dark and still kind of damp, and and all the roots that I saw were white. But it looked to me, the first look to me was that the peat moss was like powder dry. So that wasn't exactly the best, but it must have not have been like that down under, way down inside, because those roots still look fine. And or it hadn't been that way long, because it didn't all look that way either. Now, this is our shrink wrap. So I'm going to put a wrap around here, and then I'm going to go back on and put some more moisture in there. From now on, I have to make sure that we keep that root base watered, because it's doing exactly what we want it to do. Get out of there. Also, come on now. I would like to see. I would really like to see a little shoot or something down here on the tree somewhere. Uh, Something for the trunk's future whenever we get started doing that part. All right. That's not going anywhere for a minute. So we can get away with that. Now, what? Another layer. I don't think I have any more rubber tape. That wasn't a bad idea, putting the rubber tape down there, but I certainly don't want to lose. I don't want to lose our moisture out of the bottom here either. So I'm gonna shrink wrap us a good gasket here. I today's video, oh, the colors on the ball cypress are just getting fantastic. I mean, uh, the overall look today was kind of overcast, and it just made everything look real contrasty. On one hand, we had the ball cypress trees, which are bright yellow and bright orange with a little pale green, and then in contrast to that is the dark greens of the oaks that are flanking on either side, and then all those pines. It was really pretty. It was a really pretty afternoon, and I think it was a pretty nice looking shoot overall. And we got some good stuff. We got some pretty good stuff done too. So I started doing this little hose in here, and then I put my hand down there, and it felt like it was, and I got my hands wet, so it felt like it was going to come out of the bottom unless I reinforced that. So we did that, and now I'm just gonna make sure that this has got a lot of water, because now I don't have to worry about this staying too wet. It will be taken up. It will be taking up the water in here, and I do need to be watching it. And I do have a better piece of plastic this time around. Uh, okay, so I think it's okay to go ahead and spill the beans apart as far as what I intend for the rest of this. And by that I mean, uh, my feeling was this is a really pretty Trident maple. What it has going for it is it has really pretty nice frog shaped, I think desirable shaped leaves. Also, whenever we get the right kind of cool snap or the sugars or something, the colors are just ruby red on this thing, and that's really desirable. Also, this thing has some bark characteristics, some bark over characteristics that I think are pretty cool. But part of the thing that I think I'm trying to work on is I believe the tree to me seems to be too elongated. It just seems like there was just so much distance between there, and I began to think about chopping it back up here. And I wasn't at first thinking about doing this air layer. I was just going to try to shorten the tree by bringing it down. And part of that branch that you saw over here that I had this wire on was a new sprout. And I went, yeah, if we can work some branches down farther down here, we can cut this back even lower. And what is here at the canopy is what I call a chicken's poor dyslexic Pat. It's what I call a chicken's foot. It's three it's three branches coming up. It's three trunks coming up. And those are also long, but they have two nodes. Like this one and the one behind it are longer than the one in the foreground. And the two back ones have a lot of branches coming out here and have a lot of branches coming out here. Could cut that and just let that be the top. And the same here. A lot of branches coming out here at this node, and then a node above it. There's a second, just huge. This could be the top, and this could be the top. So I think the top of the tree could be brought down one node, and we would have two things that would roll over about that big around, about as big around as a quarter. So to me, that seems doing if we're building a base and all that other stuff too. So what I would actually like to do, and I wasn't gonna just get too carried away with telling everybody what I'd like to do because I want to see roots here. Okay, we've seen roots here, so I can just go ahead and tell. As I like to shorten the tree this way, and I'd like to have the tree base be right in here, and then bring it right in here, and have that base be that big. That three trunks coming out of the ground at about ground level instead of three trunks 6 inches up in the air with nothing below that. I thought that all just looked way too elongated. And if we get something out of this lower down, then that'll give this tree a future. If we don't, when it finally does come time to cut this, we'll cut this. And then we'll put cut paste over the top, and it'll be, your move. Trident maple, put out something or don't. And at that point, the Trident maple base, the base is fat, it's wide, it doesn't have the worst base in the world, but the root structure, I have a lot to learn about root structure for this tree. I have a lot to learn about Trident maples. What you see here in the main part of the shot is the main things that I would have to, that's a lot of maple right there. But also that's the kind of roots that you would probably cut off because it's a little ways away from the main trunk of the tree. And yeah, it's just kind of I would have a lot of cleanup down there, and I'd have a lot of buildup. Meanwhile, some of the best ways to get a more desirable base sooner would be to get roots coming out all the way around on this guy early on, and we can do that. I think I'm probably when I do transplant this, I'm probably going to stake it down to some sort of flat surface, a pie tin or a drip tray, a clay drip tray, or something where the roots will go out more than down, and we'll get a nice spread that way. Um, I've seen people do that with CDs. Just screw a CD into the bottom, and the kids are going with the CD. Uh, but yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what I was. That's kind of our plans to go with that. Uh, awesome, awesome. All right. So I think I probably have enough water in that for now. I do still see water coming out here. So I guess I should probably address that. Right. I have that's not a bad idea, Lee, to put a little rooting hormone in the or just put some rooting hormone in the you know what else is goes along with that is honey. Honey as an agent that will I'm gonna wrap this tight around this. Honey will keep something from getting infections. It is a great natural antibiotic. Going going back to the Egyptians, uh, way back, they would like, for instance, burns and stuff. They would just as soon as you can get that with honey, it will not get infected. And if you ever look, they found jars of honey that are hundreds of years old and stuff. And there might be something growing on some dust layer on the top, but not in the honey itself. There's a layer of no can go. And when it comes to air layers and whenever it comes to pruning and grafting and stuff like that, I've seen people have really good success with honey, um, for what that's worth. All right, I got another layer on there. Hopefully that'll keep that. Now, since I've already sprayed water down here, here's what we're gonna do. I have two types of rooting or cloning solution. I have Clonec, which is an old favorite, and I also have some powder. It's some white powder, and that's enough to do a forest pat. So I have that, and I have a toothbrush. So I think we're gonna go. I think we're gonna go that route. If I can go that route without messing anything up, or brushing my teeth with Clonex, or here it is, toothbrush. God help me. That's a really. I've cleaned a few trunks with this toothbrush, so that's a pretty tired looking toothbrush. So I'm just going to give this a little brushing of the hormones, just enough to where it will work its way down in there, because I didn't uncover any of that. You know, and I don't really know how necessary that is since we're seeing roots, but I am here now. I don't think it's going to kill anything to do that. And so I've just dabbed, painted in, a little Clonex. And so now I'll go back and try to water that in a little better. pretty exciting. I gotta say, I was uh, I was all geared for going. Okay, so here's what. Let's say, let's say we'd have got in there and there wasn't a route one. See, there's where half the program went away because we've got a lot of enough routes that I don't want to mess with what I've got going on there. I want that to continue just like it's doing. Okay, but let's say we'd have gone in there and there wouldn't have been route one. Uh, okay, so we weren't successful at making routes, is all that would make. We haven't killed the tree. So that would mean we would remove this, we would remove our moss, and and I would re-scrape. I would re-scrape all the way around. Thus, thus the sharp knife I can probably put away at this point. And I would re-scrape this, and then I would redress that with my hormone, rooting hormone. Then we would repack this with the wet sphagnum moss that I have standing by. I don't think I need to show you a bowl of wet sphagnum moss. Um, and we would just put all of this back. It isn't over until we get tired of trying or the top dies. It doesn't really make sense in my mind to even start someplace else. You don't look at it and you go, well, that graph failed or that air layer failed graph. That air layer failed. So we're just gonna forget there and try up here or try someplace else. It's not like that. It's not like when a yeah, it's not like when a graft fails. What you do is you just scrape it back, reapply all your stuff, recover it, and unless the top dies, and it's not going to pull anything up anymore, or uh, or you decide against trying anymore, those are the only two things. Unless you stop trying or the top dies. Until that, keep going. You can also do cause and effect. You can say, well, this got too dry in between it rooting, or it did root. I didn't look at it, and they all died because they were imperfectly. The first time I saw how dry this looked, I also saw micro little white. Uh, and I had two thoughts here. I thought one that could just be mycorrhiza, and two, if those are roots, they could be dead because I probably should have been in here before now. It would be just we just got lucky. I guess that didn't take all the water out of that. So we got in there, gave that a good soaking, and that should be happy now. I'm going to put another wrap up here at the top to seal the deal, and then I'll put this plastic. I'll put this black plastic around it. That does a couple of things. It keeps it from being exposed to light, which does mess with root development. But also, I've heard people talk about failures on their air layers before, and some of them will list climate as being too mild or too, we had a really mild summer. It never got hot here. So that's kind of, I get that. What you like is hotter temperatures seem to make everything, way more active. And if you've got an unseasonably cool spell going on, that could affect your success rate. Totally see that as happening. So what we're looking at here is contractor grade poly. Was a oh come on now. Was a contractor grade poly garbage bag. And I don't want to use my good scissors because I don't want them to act like these are acting now. Can you chew through this? Yeah, you can chew through this one. Okay. Ta-da. So we'll just give it a little of this now. So what I will do is go in here. What I will do is go in here every couple of weeks. I guess I need to think about that. Yeah. Maybe every couple of weeks go through there and and rewater that. These guys don't mess around. And then we'll just what'd you do, Pat? Okay. I think that'll work. Yeah, this one. All right. There. Like we've done this before. Okay. Ooh. Here we go. Now, I see me putting this lower, shorter, fatter, squattier Trident maple in some kind of tokonoma blue or yellow oval. That's kind of what everybody does because I think they look really good that way. And those salmon colors that I saw last year or year before last, whatever that was that we had, that it just really gave it up. I was like, whoa, that's a lot to love. Also, some of the printing that we did this year, I'm looking at, and I'm looking at from down here, and it doesn't look too shabby. The sky might look a little better than it did last year when we lose all of our leaves, but I still think in the end, when we lose all our foliage, I'll show you what I'm talking about. I might want to take the top down as we take the as we bring the bottom of the tree up to here. I might want to bring the top down a little bit. So yeah, that's kind of it. But I'm gonna call this. I'm gonna call this our show for tonight. Um, like and subscribe if you guys haven't already. Our next show will be in about 10 minutes. When I no, I'll give this one a chance to get a run and get its legs going. We'll be in just a little while later on tonight when I drop the video that we made today. And it was another balcony tour with me doing some stuff and looking at trees and just running around doing things. So that'll be happening. And then tomorrow Sunday, I'm not sure what we're going to be up to. I bet we'll probably get out there and do something though. And I appreciate you, and Frida appreciates you. She is just this is her shadow. You can just see the Frida shadow there, the shadow. And Frida appreciates you. And so this is us. This is us, and this is our Trident Maple. I'm really excited about the prospects here. And for the rest of the night, I'll probably go through and make sure I got all the weeds out. And but yeah, I'm really excited about that. This was my first air layer, so I would have expected I would have been okay to have had to go in there and relearn. Now later, when the root ball here is such that it's put up or shut up time, and we actually see what those roots are, it could very well be that that's coming out of one side. That could be one side that just goes and takes over that whole root ball. And in which case, we still have our work against us because we're going to want, you know, we'll probably address that when we replant it. Maybe we'll prune back some trunk and apply some more hormone, and then we're gonna, like I said, plant it to something flat so the roots that are coming out will be directionally minded, depending on as they come out. So yeah, that's kind of what's going on. That's kind of what's going on there. I'm pretty pleased. Uh, I am pretty pleased as the way that's looking so far. Also, I keep saying also. I'm looking at it from underneath. I haven't had that point of view lately since I've done two prunings, and the results of that are already kind of I'm kind of yeah. You're in for a treat when this thing goes bare. I think I'm not going to say it like that. It's not earth shattering, but it's uh, remarkably improved over last year. And okay, that's us in our Trident Maple. Let's do a rotate. And yeah, I'm wondering too about this big root. If we get something coming off here, or after I cut it, if I put some paste to that, then and it wants to put out shoots, then we will certainly then start trying to develop a canopy, and at the same time start working on the roots to that. And also probably if you can kind of see the trunk area that I'm talking about is too big up here, there's probably no reason why I couldn't consider air layer in that, I suppose. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. And this is our return to Saturday Night Live Bonsai with our and tonight with our Trident Maple. My first air layer.